What if you could learn the secrets to mental toughness from amazing athletes and peak performers? I'm Dan Rixon, owner of Prime Mind Coaching and host of the Mastermind podcast. In this series, I sit down with extraordinary individuals from elite athletes to successful entrepreneurs to uncover the tools and strategies they use to navigate challenges and achieve greatness. We'll explore the power of resilience and high performance and discover how to take control of your thoughts, transform obstacles into opportunities, and achieve peak performance and well-being in all areas of your life. This is Mastermind, your guide to unlocking a life of purpose, resilience, and success. Subscribe now and join us on this journey. Today we have with us former professional sportsman, entrepreneur, and voice for people living with disabilities. With 101 operations under his belt, this is a story of resilience, acceptance, and high performance. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest, founder of Push the Limit, Shanon Bates.
Hey, Dan.
Welcome, Shanon.
And how are you? Good?
I'm going very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, buddy.
Good. Now, today, there's so much to get through, so little time. It's an amazing story. I want to start with the beginning. Born with spina bifida. Please explain to us, those who aren't familiar with the condition, what it entails.
I guess, in a nutshell, spina bifida is a complicated thing to explain to anybody. But for me, my lower part of my spine was basically opened. So it's like a blister, like you got the little piece of skin over, but you could actually sort of, once the doctors actually pierce the first layer, you can actually see into my spine. And upon that comes other complications. So therefore my spinal fluid doesn't flow properly. So therefore, with people with spina bifida, it's quite common that they have a blockage in the brain of spinal fluid. So for me, it was my head, and they had to insert what they call a shunt. And it's basically a mechanism that was inserted on the left-hand side of my brain to pump the spinal fluid through the body. But that has to be revised every now and then. And also due to your, I guess, level of your level of movement, it can break down. And so I had 14 shunts by the time I was 5 because it basically couldn't keep up with my level of movement and, whatnot. So as I was getting older, so yeah. But that's, if that makes any sense, that it's I guess to the general public, it's hard to sort of understand that. But yeah, so, and then paralyzed from the neck down from birth. Funny thing was that when I was actually, when my mum was pregnant with me and about to give birth to me, I came out and my feet were facing the other way. I was born with club feet, and Dad goes to the doctor, "Is he coming or going?" Just to make light of the situation, because I was facing one way and my feet were facing the other way, So
Wow.
So yeah, came out with this mixed bag of me, So different complications, but yeah.
Wow.
101 operations later, and I'm still here. So
I'm still here, and we'll touch on that journey and what it looks like and that big smile that you got on your face. It's an incredible story, and it started with, I guess, at school. You were talking about at a young age, it wasn't the easiest start.
No, so I went to a school for kids with a disability because that was what was seen as, the right thing to do, and there were support systems in there to have kids with the physical or intellectual disability into the schooling education system. I went to a school called Broderick House. It was at Lakemba, and my parents sort of saw more of the ability in myself, and they wanted to put me into a mainstream primary school. So I attended my first mainstream primary school in year 4 and went through to year 6. Had its challenges. I guess I was already seen as an outcast at the beginning, and then sort of trying to get kids to, I guess, connect with me and just sort of understand that I may need help and whatnot, and had a few kids, offering to help me, up and down the stairs or with my wheelchair, because I used to walk with crutches and calipers. Growing up, after I'd sort of been through the plasters, because my body was in traction as a kid, for some time, because they had operated on my spine. So I got to the ability where I could use calipers and crutches, and took a wheelchair to school, just to get around, quicker, but basically walks. And then, year 5, year 6, sort of the taunting was happening, and you go to the bathroom, and because my chair wouldn't fit into the cubicle of the bathroom, I used to just walk in there with my calipers and crutches, and then close the door, and then leave my chair on the outside, and kids would take my chair from the bathroom. I wouldn't go back to class or back to the playground until the teacher, or someone, found me. And then, I guess as years went on, other kids were sort of, we had kids that weren't, of the best behavior, and, they were, starting to bully me, and, and so other kids didn't get bullied. They would sort of jump on the bandwagon so they didn't get bullied themselves. And then that's when the physical abuse started in year 6, where I was, attacked on several occasions, and my wheelchair was thrown on the highway on oncoming cars, and my parents' car was graffitied just with my name all over it, just because I guess they saw me as an easy target, So took self-defense classes in year 6 to try to help myself, But, I used to push home from school in my wheelchair because I just wanted to be like every other child, walk home from school and, didn't want any special privileges. So, yeah. But, for me, high school was the best years of my life. If I can relive that again, I'd do it in a heartbeat, So for me, high school was amazing.
So you talk about the challenges that you faced in primary school, challenges that no young person who is seeking acceptance should ever have to face. What changed in high school, do you think, in people's maturity?
Well, I had cousins there that were quite built. so that was good, but just meeting friends and just being accepted for who I was, and just mixing in with other kids, and just could be playing handball, could be in the classroom, just mixing with the kids, just showing that I'm no different to who they are, and just moving forward, and getting about my business, So again, pushing out from school and wanting to be accepted into the mainstream, and I was from day one, and I was actually best man at my friend's wedding a couple of years ago, from a girl of one of my friends, Shari. She was one of my friends since year 7, and I was her best man in the wedding, So again, high school for me was an amazing time,
On that theme of acceptance, obviously the most vulnerable time in a young person's life, primary school, you're desperately seeking to be accepted. You're trying to figure out who you are as a person.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that journey?
I think we're all in here it's all for a purpose, so that my purpose was to just be who I was, and follow what aligns with my morals and my values. And I think that was really well accepted. I was an athlete at school, got to represent Australia, the state at first, and then Australia. And I think that was something that really sort of created a platform for me at school. So I think that the kids, and they were really receptive of, my ability in wheelchair racing. So, so I was sort of known for my ability on the track or on the road. So that sort of set the foundations of, who I am.
We talked about the transfer or transition from primary school to high school. at the age of 12, after 12 years worth of rehab, you received some pretty confronting news. In terms of you were told you weren't going to walk again.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So when I was 12, I, part and parcel of having my disability, my hamstrings, they weren't fully formed. So therefore my legs were sort of, not going straight. So the doctors did an operation. They just released the hamstrings by operation. And I was in cast for 8 weeks, and then came out, and then did rehab for a couple of weeks, and then stood up. Every time I stood up, my fluid would start to form in both my knees. And I'm not medically trained, so I don't know the cause of that, but I'm assuming it's because of the damage they may have caused at the back of my knee when they did the operation, because when I used to walk prior, even though my legs were bent, I didn't have that issue, so and I was basically feeling very ill when I stood up because of the amount of fluid that was forming in the knees. So the doctor said, well, not much we can do about it. The chair was going to be like inevitable at some stage of my life. Just didn't expect it to be so early.
Yeah. And we will touch on, I guess, influential times that have you as open and accepting to this sort of news, because I guess from my perspective, as I hear you talk about this in itself would be a massive stage in terms of people could go one of two ways in terms of woe is me, or the way you've sort of seen it as an opportunity, what can I do, rather than all the things that I can't do.
Yeah. So for me, 100% it's family, family and friends. They brought me up like any other child, with like, as any other family would, not even sort of seeing my potential than seeing my disability, if it makes sense. And I think that's always stuck with me. My parents gave me every chance, to be a part of society, sporting as well as, academically, and even going out for dinner, the more exposure, the more education you give society, so, and they can understand that, there's no limit,
Yeah. And it sounds as if you've essentially created your own script by educating others and making an opportunity for other people to learn.
100%. I will do that until there's no existence of myself, but yeah, it's definitely something that I love to do. I love to educate society on all different topics, but definitely if I can share my experience with someone, it could possibly help them later on in life, especially if they have a disability, like working in spinal rehab. We'll probably touch on that later on, but working in spinal rehab, guys that are in chairs, what better peer support or mentoring is it than someone who's actually in their situation, So that is, for me, that is the best form of education, but to educate society on how I roll, pardon the pun, but is great. My friends are still learning today, like, that I can transfer into that, or can transfer and do things, and yeah.
And I see one of the strategies, whether it's intentional or not, that you use, and you sort of alluded to it before with Dad, is you use humor a lot.
Humor is everything, I always one of my biggest role models was Robert Williams.
Yeah, right.
Just the way, like, that show, Patch Adams.
Yep.
Like, and even the other ones, but just his humor. Like, if you watch him, his skits on when he's being interviewed, like, it's just, humor is everything, like, you can be in the worst, mindset, you can be in the worst environment, but humor you're not only lifting yourself up, but you're lifting everyone else up too. You know. But that's just how I deal with life. You know, just because I don't take much serious. You know, and if I do, it's always got to be in humor. You know.
Yeah.
But
it's a fantastic way to look at it. And
yeah, like I've always said, we aren't here for a dress rehearsal. So we got one shot, you know.
Yep.
So live it as large as possible. So.
And speaking about living it as large as possible, we'll start touching on your sporting career, your illustrious sporting career. Now we'll backtrack from the high performance stuff to start in the under sixes. You've got an interesting story here.
Yeah, I was I walk on crutches and calipers. That was my mode of transport. I played for Cars Park Soccer Club, and with crutches and calipers. And anyway, so I ended up being part of the team, but then the parents thought that was a risk to their kids in the field because I had calipers and crutches, and they sort of saw it as a bit of a weapon, I guess, because, you know, kids could kick my crutches and, you know, cause further injury possibly. So I went to re-register for under sevens for next year. And they said, "Oh, you've been barred because we believe that you're a danger to our kids in the field." And I'm like, "But I can't run as fast." I mean, it's just about being, you know, wanting to be a part of a team, you know. Anyway, I didn't get to play, and the funny thing was that, like, from that point on, I had 7, 9, 10 years ABC, a current affair. On the case, because, you know, I was the youngest person to be barred for life, you know, and they escalated to the Australian body in case my parents moved state. So yeah, so when guys get red cards today, I'm like, I got barred for life. So a red card's pretty minor, really, in my book.
Wow, there's a lot of claim to fames you have, but being barred from for life in under sixes has to be up there.
Absolutely. So yeah. But that was, you know, a journey in itself. I got the opportunity to be the mascot for RP Leichhardt for their first grade football team.
Wow!
And then got to travel the country with those guys. It's a good experience. All because they'd seen my story in the paper and on TV. And then so that was
How old were you there?
I was 7.
7.
Yeah. So yeah, got to run on the field with them, and it was a good experience, you know. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding now. Now we obviously went through the journey of your primary school and how this would have just added to that, I guess, narrative that was created for you, where you were trying to fit in. You're now starting to experience elite sport, high performance sport, and at 14 you got the opportunity to represent Australia.
Yeah. So got to represent Australia. Went to Florida for the junior wheelchair nationals, and went over to Florida and went to Colorado. Great experience, you know. So I ended up winning 100, 200, 400, 800, 1500.
Wow.
So so it was all of America, and then Australia was the only other country that was actually invited to participate. So got over there, but one funny story about that, they have an event called Prince of the Straight. So it's the fastest boys on the track, so in the 100 meters. And so what I did is just to be funny again, I showed my legs. I don't use them, but all of it wind resistance, right? So, and I won.
It's a 1%.
So, you know, but a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah.
So, and the team manager was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just showing my legs." I said, "I'm going to get faster. It's all this drag." So, you know, but I won, and
they can't argue with the results, can they? They can't argue with the results, can they?
That's true. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So, Around the same time, I would imagine. I think you mentioned it was about 15, 16. You're the first disabled person to receive a sporting blue.
Yeah. So it's CHS Blue. I attended Pigos High School, and I went to Pacific School Games. Also the CHS combined high school games that were on every year at its ES Marks Field, and then moved to Homebush. And then I was lucky enough, due to my sporting ability and what I had achieved, that I was given that opportunity, So, and one thing is I went to my high school recently in the last year, and my CHS Blue is still up in the I guess the front office, the area. So, yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
That is very cool. And I've seen over my time at Westfield Sports, I've seen a lot of elite athletes receive sporting blues that have moved on to professional careers.
Yeah. I was lucky enough that I went through the same era as, Matt Sherrington and Tamsin Lewis, Kathy Freeman.
Wow.
All those sort of guys, so I got to, go away, on camps with, the likes of Kathy Freeman, with Tamsin Lewis and Matt Sherrington. You go to Canberra on a scholarship through MLC, and that was on during our school holidays. And what phenomenal athletes they are, and role models for all ages, So
definitely. Now, talking about these high performance people that you were surrounded with at this stage, I understand you've got the opportunity to travel with Dawn Fraser.
Yes, went to China. So she had a fall yesterday apparently. So which isn't very good, but she recovers really well, and we're all thinking of her. She's best athlete. She's created history, that woman. But yeah, a lovely lady she is. And we went to, it's called the Fesbic Games in Beijing. That was in 1990, I'm going to say 1997, 98. As years go on, it gets hard to remember. Yeah. But went over there and competed in the games over there, and Dawn Fraser came over as our ambassador for our team. And that was an experience, it wasn't a good experience for a lot of athletes, and also for myself. The environment of where we were living, like for our dormitory was still we're in a place that was half built, so concrete floors, concrete walls, and the food. There was no, even though you're on your own diet, it was out the window. You ate what you were given. So dim sims, mini spring rolls, fried rice, a lot of Asian cuisine. So, and then which isn't really sort of I guess appropriate for the athlete, So, but we did what we could. But went over there and the toilets were actually on the ground. So it's sort of, that was quite a difficult experience. I have the movement to get down the ground, but I ended up coming back with a massive kidney infection, and because of the bacteria, and created this infection in my kidney and bladder that was just wasn't going anywhere. So, and my left kidney was affected, and I actually had it removed in 2009. So,
wow,
they kept it for as long as they could, but yeah, it got down to working at less than 10%. And they said you'd probably die of blood poisoning if we kept it. So,
jeez,
yeah. So
from this high performance experience that you were so excited to go to, you managed to lose a kidney.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's also what happened with the food that you brought over there?
Oh, but I actually my dad actually said, "Oh, why don't you take some Wheat Bix over and some powdered milk? Because they're going to another country, and if you can just keep your own health up and your own dietary requirements, that's even better,
Yep.
But got to the airport and they had actually ripped open I had a box which had my racing wheelchair in there and the wheels, and I also had the Weet-Bix stashed in there as well, and they confiscated the Weet-Bix.
Wow.
So yeah.
So not only
and the powdered milk gone.
and the powder bear.
Yeah.
So not only are you banned from under sixes soccer, you're banned for life. You're actually banned from international travel now as well.
No, not quite. Not quite.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a story from the World Championships. This isn't just a backyard competition.
No. But what I remember of Beijing was that crowd was next level. Like it was like would be bigger than the NRL grand final. Like it was massive, and they had their drums going and their Chinese dragon, and it was like the whole stadium was just packed, people cheering, and like that atmosphere I'll never forget.
How did you go?
Didn't make any finals, so so it was just one of those things, but some of the athletes, they were amazing too, like.
Do you think they were better athletes, or you just underperformed in that?
Could have been a bit of both. Always, you always criticize yourself. We're always our worst critic. But some of the athletes, the grading system as far as ability was concerned was all mixed up. So people that were, I guess, it all goes on your level of injury. So some people who had a higher level of injury were competing against people that were not so high. Therefore, they had more movement. So therefore, that's a huge advantage. So there was a lot of different opinions on that experience, but it was one that I think that we all learn from experiences, right? So I learned from it, and I did my best. I didn't go there to fail.
No.
So I gave it my best, and that's where you got to sort of resonate with yourself that you're over there doing your best, and that's all you can ask of yourself. So.
Yeah. So talking about doing your best, you're obviously performing pretty well, because in 2000 you're selected for Sydney Paralympic Games.
Yeah. So gonna get it to I was training for the 100 and 200 meters, and then I was approached by the committee and said, "Well, look, Australia doesn't have a pentathlete," so they said, "Would you like to try out for the pentathlon?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah," because again, like the hundreds and 200s, like there's so many athletes that are just up for that spot, and if Australia doesn't have a pentathlete, I'm like, well, hey, if I've been given the opportunity to do it, of course. So, and then short time before the team was announced, and uniforms were given out, they said that your event's been cancelled. And I was like, what? So I had gone, like months in, like it wasn't like an overnight thing. There was a lot of training I did. So the pentathlon for a person with a disability who uses a wheelchair is made up of 5 events. It's discus, javelin, shot put, 200 meters and 1500 meters. So it goes in time, and also how far you can throw the apparatus. So I trained for the pentathlon, and then just before they announced the team, 2 weeks, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks out, they cancelled my event. So because of the lack of athletes that qualified worldwide.
Wow.
I'm like, that's just because then I think, well, I could have, possibly, because I was in the top 5 at the time for the 100. So I I can't say I would have made it, but I can't say I wouldn't have, you know. So everything's good in hindsight. But
Well, of course.
but you know, like yeah. So I didn't get to go, and that's when I think my whole attitude changed, as far as, you know, because I'd been racing my whole life, had sponsors, and I felt that I let everyone down, you know, like because I made a choice that I thought would have been of benefit, but it wasn't. So therefore, I didn't get to go. So, and I keep thinking that if I left school in '94, and then I could have been in a trade, or I could have been in a secure, in like I guess a secure, you know, working environment, and need some money. But I you know, obviously I was also on the disability pension back then, so I could have made like life a lot easier for myself back when I had left school if I hadn't have got a job. So come 2000, I just sort of put the chair aside for a while and went back to it and trained here and there, and sort of really didn't sort of try to further my career after that moment, you know, to represent the country, you know.
So that hit you hard.
Massively, yeah, because like that was the pinnacle, you know. I did revisit Beijing, possibly to do powerlifting, but again, I was unsuccessful with that. I traveled around Australia. We had all our comps in Brisbane or in Melbourne. Just wasn't good enough. So, and then just basically came up the ghost for that, you know. So of having that dream of getting to the Paralympics. So, but again, that was you know, my attitude at the time. Again, like that was my call, you know. Like I just felt that I was wasting time. The longer I raced, the longer it would have taken me to get into life, you know, like and the normalcy of day-to-day life, you know, you're getting a job and whatnot. So yeah, so
it's an interesting. Tell us post when they've told you you're no longer going to the Paralympic Games, the dreams of the pinnacle of your career has been taken away from you. How did your sort of lifestyle pan out after that?
Oh yeah, that's a crazy question. But yeah, I just had great support around family and friends, and I guess I was hitting the dance floor a fair bit, which I never used to do. So yeah, just get out and partying and just and so just I guess that was my way of regrouping, you know. But yeah, and then I got into, like, found jobs and in and out of jobs. I did personal training. I did security guard work. Did a lot of concierge work in clubs, leagues clubs, Catholic clubs, as a doorman. So yeah, which was I actually spent a lot of time in over the years. So tried excavation. So yeah, that was a fun career. But again, all that was about not just me. It was about educating society, because I'm like, if I'm going to be in the front of society, you know, in front of the public in a concierge role, I'm going to educate society along the way, because people say, why are you in a wheelchair? Like, what's you do? Like, they would actually want to know your life story. So therefore, you're going to work, earning money, but that's not the be all end all. You're educating society, you know. So
sounds like your purpose there was well and truly surpassed the job itself.
That's it, yeah.
So to oversimplify your journey, and I guess I want to touch on your identity and how you saw yourself. You've gone from your junior years where you were trying to figure out who you were, where you fit into the young people, high school, amazing.
Yeah.
You found your sport, you were good at it, you were rewarded, and then there was that moment where it got taken away from you.
Yeah.
And then I guess that time that sounded as if you're a little bit lost for a period of time after that.
Yeah.
Who was Shanon Bates once sport was taken away?
I think Shanon Bates was just trying to find himself for a long time. Yeah, I just think that I was nowhere near that person that I used to be, you know. But again, my whole aspect of life changed, you know, like I feel like I've wasted all these years. You know, I could have bought a house, like could I have, you know, set up enough money through work if I was in a trade or whatnot, you know. So again, I was just trying to like try everything and anything just to get money behind me, you know, like, and it didn't, because I felt like I was promised the world that I couldn't deliver, so therefore that was taken away, you know. So I didn't want to go down that path again. So and I don't know if it's a selfish or an arrogant thing, but you know, I don't believe in getting burnt twice, you know. Like I've learnt that to me, that wasn't a mistake because that was a massive, awesome journey that I've been on. You know, like I created so much success, but if I continued that, where would I be? You know, so I never want to live life with a what if attitude. So I just tried other things, you know, and how else can I contribute to the community? So, and also to the life of myself and others, you know. That's my purpose, you know. That aligns with my morals and my values, is educating myself and society, you know?
To touch on what you're talking about with the what if mentality, had you have gone down the other, you know, playing devil's advocate, sliding door moments, you've decided to give sport a rest. You're going to go get a job. You're going to go to university, whatever it looks like. You're going to buy a house. You're going to follow that, I guess, conventional mentality or lifestyle. Do you think you'd ever have the what if moment in terms of what sport might have looked like had you have pursued it?
Yeah, because I you know, like you got guys today, like you got the Kurt Fernleys, you got Luis Savage, you've got John McLean. He was the first athlete with a disability to do the Hawaii Ironman, another extraordinary gentleman. You've got so many. Madison De Rosario is our current, you know, role model. You know, like for so many reasons. Like her ability on the track and the road is amazing. So you know, could that have been me if I had stuck with it? You know, I think about that. And I go, well, it may have been, but it may not have been. So we're all on a certain journey. We're always meant to be where we are for a reason. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, so that's how I justify myself with my thoughts. You know, so like who's to say that racing my chairs, I still wouldn't be in the same position, you know. So as far as doing what I do today, you know, so just adding this racing in chairs is just something added extra. So, pardon me. So yeah,
as an athlete, success tends to get blanketed in results. It's pretty black and white. You either win, you lose, you're fast, you're slow, so on and so forth. In terms of your challenges and everything that you've been through, what does success look like for you?
success has just been the best version of you. You know, like you can't compare yourself to. I can't compare myself to you. I can't compare myself to anyone, and you can't compare yourself to me. So it's about, again, I'm hugely about morals and values, and if I can, I guess, align myself with my morals and my values, and do what I set out to do with work, with my everyday life, that's success to me. So, yeah.
You mentioned your morals and values. What do they look like?
Morals is like being true to you and you know, like how I was brought up, you know, like, you know, our family group, you know, that's like family to me is everything, you know, and my friends, you know, you have this scale of, you know, you look at a table and you got, you know, 100% at the very top, and then you got, you know, 10% below. My family and my friends are even, like we're all family, like to me, like that's the way I see it. So my morals align with the people that I hang around with, you know, and that's and who I grow from. So, and my values are the same thing. So
They say you're essentially a combination of your closest 5 people.
yes, yeah. So it's about, you know, being around those people that have the same thought processes and the same outlook on life, you know.
So we spoke about your identity. So you've now finished. We understand there's a little bit of transition as finding yourself, as you mentioned. We in 2012, I think we sort of bypassed a really important milestone, something amazing that you actually achieved, the Pride of Australia medal.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, for those who don't know the medal, me included, ignorance on my behalf, I did Google it. And what it is, it honours everyday Australians who've made extraordinary contributions to their communities through their selfless actions, courage, compassion, and heroism. So tell us a little bit about what it was like to receive that.
Wow, that was a massive honor. Like, still today, like that medal is up in my unit and, you know, on display all the time, you know. It's, I guess that medal represents who I am and what I've achieved, you know. Like, again, life is a journey. So everything that I had either endured or I had been a part of, and assisted, you know, other people with disabilities or even just people in the community. My contribution was what that was a part of, you know. So that medal represents me to the person that I am, you know. But again, that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't from the support of my parents and family, you know. Like that made me who I am today. So, you know, with that, like them, once I, you know, you reach that years of adulthood, you sort of make your own choices and whatnot. But you know, they molded me into the person I am, you know, and so I can't speak highly enough of them. I have an amazing family and friends and support group, you know. So it's support network. So
there's a lot to be said about that support network and people to celebrate success with and commiserate the bad times.
Yeah.
We spoke about something the other day, and there's normally a catalyst for these events where I mentioned how accepting you are of all these life things that happen. You know, life's throwing you a heap of challenges, and you're accepting of them and come out the other side almost stronger for it. And I asked you, was there a particular event, one particular thing that was the catalyst to shift that mindset? And you spoke about a surgery at 15.
Yeah, that's true. So when I said just before that you make it choices as an adult, when you're an adult, I sort of started a bit earlier.
Yes, correct.
15 years of age, I had major brain surgery. So I was speaking to you earlier about the shunt that I had inserted in the left-hand side of my brain, which pumps the spinal fluid through. I went to a wheelchair sports camp, Christmas camp, when I was 15. Anyway, one of the kids I was obviously in the wrong spot, wrong time. or right time, and I was hit in the head by a discus, and it actually affected the shunt. So and then it broke. So therefore, I had to go into the doctors, and he said to me that there was a blockage in the shunt because of where you've been hit. So therefore, he said there's actually a new operation. He goes, you will be the 5th person in the country to have this done. So ever. So he said the first person ended up with a brain tumor. The second person ended up with paralysis of the left or the right hand side. The third person ended up having a stroke. And and then he said there's also a chance of death.
So it's not exactly selling this surgery.
No. But he said if it works, it's longevity. He said there's no more shunts. He goes, your spinal fluid, when it flows through the brain, flows just like yours, but like mine, you know. So I was like, yeah, I've done it. Mum was like, no, you can have a shunt. I'm like, Mum, it's my head. I said, what if it works? I said, at least I can say where to go, I said, I don't want to live life with the what if. Because the shunt is all we know. I've had multiple before, and that's all we know. But I said, as years go on, and this is, I don't know where these wise words came from at the time, but I was like, as years go on, you're gonna, the technology will change. And I said, this is obviously the new way of dealing with people that have spina bifida or have clotting of swelling of the brain due to the lack of spinal fluid being able to flow through the body. So the operation is called a third ventriculostomy. So they put a stent through the third and fourth ventricle of the brain, and therefore that opens ventricles, therefore the spinal fluid can flow normally. And so I convinced Mum and Dad. We left the hospital, went to Coogee Bay Hotel. I was only 15. I had lunch, we had a discussion, and came back to the doctor that afternoon and said, yeah, we'll do the third ventriculostomy. And like now that operation it's happening all the time now. It's quite a common operation. So being the 5th person to have it done, I actually went in and I actually hemorrhaged in the first time. So Mum and Dad were like, nah. And I'm like, Mum, I've already got a hole in my head. Can we just finish the job? So they went back in again. They had to send away for a smaller tool, because the ventricles were too narrow, and they didn't want to interfere with the walls of the ventricles, because that's where you get paralysis on the left or right hand side.
Yep.
So did that, and then it's been fine till today.
So you hemorrhaged.
Yep.
And then how long between where you had a hole in your head did you have to wait?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So it was actually the day of the third origin. I'll never forget it. So it was, and I came out of theatre, out of recovery, and my parents were there, and the doctor was on my left. I was sat on my bed. Mum, they were on the right, and the doctor said, squeeze my left hand, and with my left hand, and he said, squeeze my hand with your right hand, and he said, he's fine. And then my first words were, who won the origin?
Who did win it?
I can't remember. But that's what I remember, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So most 15-year-olds are trying to convince their parents to go to a party or go to their friend's house for a sleepover. And here you are having a conversation with the parents to have life-altering brain surgery.
Yeah. So because it's called the part of my disability. It's called hydrocephalus, which is basically the spinal fluid isn't able to escape the brain. So it's part and parcel of having my disability. So therefore, how you get rid of that is you either have the shunt or now you can have the third ventriculostomy.
Wow. Medical science really has progressed.
Depending on the size of the ventricles, it's still a risk.
Yep.
But obviously the doctors would advise you of that, So, and if it's actually worth or actually achievable, But it's definitely changed my life,
Wow. Now you're also a business owner for the past 5 years.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Push the Limit.
Well, yeah. So Push the Limit is basically an education service. So it all stemmed from my days in primary school. How do I educate kids about disability awareness and other topics so the kids can go to school and enjoy their years at school, So I came up with this concept, and I've been to over 170 daycares now. So in the last 5 years, so traveled down as far as Bega, up as far as Orange, and up as far as Newcastle, all around Sydney. So yeah, I'm very lucky in that concept. But yeah, so I sort of spoke to kids from daycare to year 12 about topics relating to their age group and also education. So disability awareness, anti-bullying strategies, resilience, accountability, and mental well-being. So being their authentic self, and sort of not sort of honing in on being a follower, because those kids may not align with your morals and your values, and you may be leading down the wrong path in life. So it's about being true to you,
Bit more self-awareness and
Correct.
Authenticity in who they are as a person.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Right, that sounds like...
But understanding the consequences of their actions as well, accountability for me is everything,
Yep.
So if I can instill that in these kids, which you can't put an old head on their shoulders, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, if you can just explain that, like the consequences of their actions, they may sort of have another shift in attitude if they're going to take part in bullying or whatever it may be.
They say your past experiences shape your knowledge and your actions and who you are as a person.
Yeah.
If that's the case, there's going to be big things in the future of Push the Limit.
I hope so. So yeah, I've got so many things. I'm actually just written a book. It should be out, I'm hoping, by February.
What's it called?
It's called Shan I Can.
Shan I Can.
Yeah. So it's a kid's book.
Fantastic.
For kids in daycare up to years 3. So and it's just explaining, this is a picture book. It says Shannon can drive a car, and I'm in my car. I've got this little red rocket that I'm in.
Yeah.
This little fast little car I'm in. And I've got, Shannon can walk the dog. Shannon can go swimming. So because kids ask me these questions all the time, in daycare, and how do you sleep in your wheelchair? I'm like, no, I sleep in a bed, like but all those kind of things, But
they're curious little things that kids, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
But I love that concept of concentrating and fixating all your attention on what you can do.
Yes.
And I feel like that message itself well and truly surpasses people with disabilities.
Yes.
And I think it goes into the well-being space and the emotional intelligence space.
Yeah.
And if people are forever fixating all their attention on what they can do and what they do have,
that's right,
we're probably going to be a much better society in the way of mental health.
100%. Where there are so many people that have, again, upbringing, and also the people that you hang out with, so you might come from a great family, but you may have just been led down the wrong path by the friends that you hang around with, and it's not always, you can't always see it, but yeah, it's all about, doing them right by yourself. What aligns with your morals and your values, yeah.
So I'm hearing throughout all this, I'm hearing, your why, your passion, your purpose, well and truly, I guess, exceeds the things that you've occurred or the challenges that you've faced over a period of time.
Can you elaborate on that? Sorry.
Sorry. It sounds as if your why, your purpose, basically to educate other people, has allowed you to see all the opportunities that are in front of you.
Of course, yeah. Through past experiences, and that's where it all stems from. So where I am today is all due to past experiences, that have been not that good. So, but if I can use that information to pass on to other kids, it may help them today or down the track. So, yeah.
So where can we find more information about Push the Limit?
If you go to my website, pushthelimit.com.au, or send me an email, info@pushthelimit.com.au. But yeah, my story's on my website, and so it's getting busier, and it's been a journey to get to where I am today with the business, because when you go into, even though disability awareness is part of the curriculum, it's usually taught in-house. It's only been of late that the schools get a speaker in to educate the kids on disability awareness or other topics. So I'm trying to improve on that, so trying to improve on that curriculum, as far as them, instead of like trying to shift the mentality of putting in a guest speaker and sharing that true life experience.
Yeah.
Because not everyone that can teach it has that experience. So trying to remove the textbook mentality, and because kids want to hear the true life experience of all kinds of situations, So
it's engaging, it's relatable, and it's authentic.
Of course.
So I'll put those details in the bio, so everyone can visit, can see all the exciting things happening with Push the Limit. To finish off, I guess, what's the best life advice that you have, and what impacts it had on your life?
Well, I've got two. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Give it your best. Remember, yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery, but today's a gift. So you just give it your best.
Love that. Well, on that note, let's continue enjoying this gift of today.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for coming in and
having me down. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Cheers, Shan.
Take care, mate.
This is Mastermind, your guide to unlocking a life of purpose, resilience, and success. Subscribe now and join us on this journey.